Mike Waltz has represented Florida's beautiful 6th district since 2019. He was elected to Congress as the first U.S. Army Green Beret. I think he kind of knows what he's talking about when he talks foreign policy in the military. And he's mentioned that Russia's aggression in Ukraine and the Chinese Communist Party's continued military buildup, as well as recent missile launches by North Korea, just some of the dangers that we face on the global threat landscape. Please welcome one of the bright lights in the current Congress, very articulate congressman. We're so happy to have him, Michael Waltz. Good to have you.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you. Thank you again. Yeah, thanks.
When I was chatting with Nikki Haley earlier, we were talking about the disastrous departure out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
That's up close and personal to you. You served in combat repeatedly.
Yep.
You know what it's like, and you weren't just a soldier, but you were a Green Beret, and that's the top of the top. So what does that feel like as a military person to see us just pull out in the middle of the night?
Well, you know, it's just, Governor, fundamentally un-American to leave fellow Americans behind, to abandon our allies like we did, and just retreat, completely cut and run in the face of terror. And I think you have absolutely seen a direct correlation from that to now the Taliban have their own caliphate, just like ISIS had its caliphate under Obama. Now they have a super state. ISIS and Al-Qaeda fully intend to attack us again and are preparing to do so. Now you see Putin, Xi, Iran, and others all on the march. And that's what happens when America retreats in the face of terrorism.
Congressman, there was a time in this country when we might change presidents from Democrat to Republican, but the foreign policy was not that radically different. There was a stability. There may have been some nuances, but we had a Sam Nunn from Georgia. We had a Scoop Jackson from Washington State. We had strong military-believing Democrats who were leaders, and they would never have sat by. Explain to us who are having a hard time, what is the intention of this administration in things like Afghanistan, the Russia invasion of Ukraine, China's beating its chest and planning to go to Taiwan?
Yeah, well, I think you're seeing two fundamental forces at play. One, the progressives think that we are fundamentally a bad country, that at our core, we are racist, misogynist, colonialist, and it needs to be torn down and rebuilt in their image. And then number two, abroad, that America is more a part of the problem than it is the solution. And if you combine those two, they believe then that we can, and Obama said it in his second inaugural speech, where he said we extend a hand to our adversaries, not a fist. And that if we're just nice enough and kind enough and we make enough concessions, people like Putin or Xi of China or the Ayatollah will be nice back. And I could tell you what, having served across Africa, fought across the Middle East, our adversaries understand strength. They understand, terrorists understand a bomb on a forehead. And not to be too harsh about it, but that's what it takes to keep America safe. And we have to do that over there. The last thing I want to see happen is another San Bernardino, another Pulse nightclub, or God forbid, another 9/11. We have to fight forward and keep a foot on their neck, not wait until they're in our backyard.
I really appreciate that perspective. You would think,
and Governor, I'll just say one more thing.
Go right ahead.
Underscoring all of that, we can have the greatest, most capable drones, planes, ships, well-trained military in the world. But if these dictators and these terrorists don't believe we have a commander-in-chief that is willing to use it, then it's all for naught. And that leadership is absolutely what we're missing right now.
Well, that's frightening to me, and I know that you've led people into combat, and you were responsible for their lives. How frightening is it from a soldier's perspective to think that our country would send people into battle, but not come and get them when they got in trouble?
Not come and get them when they got in trouble and tie their hands when you send them into battle. There were such restrictive rules of engagement. You could do this, but you couldn't do that. Or if you did this, you'd be prosecuted. To send our soldiers overseas and then not let them do their job, not let them kick the snot out of the bad guys. They don't ever want to kill civilians. They don't want to make mistakes. They're doing the best they can, but it's both. one of the things that we absolutely live by is never leave a fallen comrade.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And that's why you saw so many veterans, myself and others, just apoplectic. And what has me so upset is, one, the lack of accountability for those 13 Gold Star families that shouldn't be missing their loved ones right now. And look, Governor, when we flip the House this November, when we fire Nancy Pelosi,
Yes, indeed.
send her back home to her ice cream and refrigerators, I'm going to push hard for a Benghazi-style select committee on Afghanistan to get to the bottom of what happened. What decisions did Joe Biden make? What was he advised by the United States military? What did he ignore? And why do we have this absolute debacle and moral stain on our consciousness?
And I think the American taxpayers deserve to know what happened to
Heck yeah, they
$70
do.
billion worth of their equipment that they paid for, and we left
That's
it for
right.
the Taliban, for heaven's sake.
That, by the way, look, Al-Qaeda and ISIS are going to try to hit us again from Afghanistan. That means future Green Berets, future Navy SEALs are going to have to go back over there to deal with it, fighting through our own darn equipment. It is absolutely unacceptable. And by the way, our local allies are being hunted down as we speak. Those who stood with us for that flag and what it stands for a better future. I just got a note this morning. One of my interpreters that I got out, he's now an American citizen, starting his own business. But the Taliban, these terrorists, when they can't get you, they go after your family. And they just took one of his brothers, tied him up behind a truck and drug him to death.
Oh,
and I don't mean
goodness.
to be graphic, but people need to hear what's going on, and they need to know what's happening. I also want to say, though, to every veteran out there, many of whom are struggling, we've had an 82% increase in calls to the suicide hotline with the VA since last August. Your service was not in vain. You kept an entire generation of Americans safe from another 9/11. And one of the reasons I'm in Congress and fighting through the nonsense that you know can be politics is for them and for their families. And we'll keep fighting that fight.
There's not enough members of Congress who have had your background and track record.
Yeah.
I cannot even begin to express to you how important I think it is that you are there. And I hope the people of Florida will keep sending you to Congress until you decide to do something even more significant. And the reason I say that is because when people talk about what our country is doing and what kind of military we have, when you speak, you do it with an authority that very few people, maybe no one else in Congress can do. And I hope you continue.
Well, the good news, Governor, is we have 2022 is going to be the year of the GOP veteran. They are coming out of the woodworks.
Good.
And our majority makers are going to have a little dirt and grit under their fingernails. I have this for you. You know what these are. This is one
Challenge
of my coins. It's for servant leadership, to walk as someone, as Jesus did, as humble but strong. But I'm Episcopalian, so it's also a bottle opener. You can put it on the bar.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
What an honor.
God bless.
Great having you here.
Thank you. Thank
Now, for our great audience, I want you to know that all the links that you're going to need to keep up with the congressman are going to be live right now at Huckabee.tv. So go there, find out how to get on his mailing list, how to contribute to his campaign, how to be a part of understanding what he has done to serve this great country.